Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and this video is going to show the fastest fully upgraded emergency vehicles in terms of lap time. We're quickly going to go over the slowest vehicles right now, and as always the position counter is in the top left with the best lap time the vehicle achieved in the top right. This video only focuses on track performance, so if you're interested in top speed where braking, cornering and acceleration aren't relevant, check the link in the description for the top speed testing series, and if you want to know more information about this testing, including the extent to which it's accurate and how useful it is for you personally, have a read of the full description as everything that you need is in there. This video lists all vehicles and is correct as of the after hours update. For vehicles added after that or other classes of cars, check the playlist linked in the second line of the description, and feel free to check out my Patreon or become a YouTube member if you want to get these testing results a few days before the videos go up every Thursday. So after a bit of a hiatus to deal with the vehicles from the after hours DLC, we are back with the 2018 class specific testing videos, now back with the emergency vehicles video. And we've seen obviously the slowest vehicles so far. We had the fire truck in 16th place, the RCV, which is just a little bit quicker than the police riot, but you know it's way down the order overall, and then the prison bus, which is right at the end and the only vehicle in this list to get over 2 minutes, and the police transporter here in 15th with a 1 minute 30.6. All of these vehicles with 1 minute 30 lap times, they're not very quick. They're pretty, 1 minute 30 is a very, very slow lap time. Now in 14th place we've got the Police Rancher, which is one of two snow covered vehicles that is actually unique. All of the other snow covered vehicles that you see in the prologue are just basically different liveries of existing cars, but the Police Rancher and another vehicle that we'll see in this class later on are actually unique vehicles strictly speaking. So Police Rancher with a pretty standard sort of lap time for that kind of vehicle in 14th place, and then we've got the ambulance here in 13th with a 125.5. Again, these aren't fantastic lap times, but there is quite a big field spread in terms of the lap times that a lot of these vehicles are getting from the bottom to the top. So in 12th place we've got the Lifeguard. There's quite a few, they're basically Grangers, the Granger SUV, but obviously reskinned, have a different skin on them, a different livery, and various other additions like we see here with the Park Ranger. The Park Ranger and the Lifeguard are exactly the same in terms of the model. They're just a Granger, but they are actually a little bit slower or quicker than each other. Their stats are actually different. So all of these vehicles also, they can't be upgraded, they can't be used in a race apart from the Park Ranger, which is usable in SUV races. But again, with the FIB SUV here, they're all in the same, all of these sort of SUVs are generally in the same area and they get similar lap times, but there are some small differences between them. But none of these vehicles can be stored, they can't be upgraded under normal circumstances. There are actually a few vehicles that do have upgrades available to them, and we'll talk about those later on, but under normal gameplay, without using mods or anything like that, you aren't able to get them upgraded. So these are all, they're stock lap times, and that's because that's all you can basically access. So here we've got the Sheriff SUV in 9th place. We're up to the top 10 now. The quickest of the SUVs with a 121.8, but pretty close to the FIB. Obviously the Lifeguard was the slowest. And then we move on to the top 8 with the other unique snow vehicle, which is the Police Road Cruiser. This gets a lap time of 120.777, and the Police Road Cruiser is basically an Esperanto from GTA 4. It's basically a reskinned version of that car, and it is a unique vehicle. It's a unique model. You can't, obviously, with the Police Rancher that we saw earlier, we do have the Rancher XL in the game as well, but the Road Cruiser is actually a separate car entirely. There isn't a non-snow model of that car in the game, so it's pretty unique in that respect. In 7th place we've got the Sheriff Cruiser with a 1 minute 18 lap time, and we're starting to get up there in terms of lap times now. They're not fantastic, but for stock vehicles with no upgrades, at least they're not too bad. So we're starting to get to sort of normal, sort of bog standard sedan levels of lap times, and that's really what these kind of vehicles are. The cruisers that we're seeing here, the unmarked cruiser here, a 117, they're pretty much sedans as what you would expect from, say, the Stania or the Washington in the sedans class. And these are all unique vehicles as well. The unmarked cruiser is in the game, it's called Unmarked Cruiser. And then we come to the three vehicles that are all called Police Cruiser. So we got the Police Cruiser here in 5th place. This is dubbed the Stania version, and there's 3 different vehicles that are all called exactly the same name, so it's very similar with the utility trucks in the utility vehicles class. This is the slowest of the 3 with a 1 minute 16.8, but obviously it does very well to get up into 5th place, and it is quicker than the Sheriff Cruiser, which it looks very similar to. But then after the Police Cruiser Stania version, we've got the FIB just mixing in with these Police Cruisers. A 1 minute 15.7, it's basically modelled on a Buffalo, and it's very similar to that, but it's obviously, it's again a separate model entirely in the game. It's a separate vehicle entirely. It's called FIB in the game, so it counts as a totally separate vehicle, and it's got its stats changed as well a little bit. So even though a lot of these emergency vehicles are modelled on other cars and are just variations of them, they are actually a little bit different as well. So in 3rd place, the top 3, we've got the Police Cruiser Buffalo version. So this is the second of the 3 different police cruisers. The Buffalo version is very similar again in terms of styling to what we've just seen from the FIB. A 1 minute 14.8, it is a little bit quicker than what we saw from the FIB as well, and it's quite a unique vehicle. It's very rare to find this in GTA 5 in the single player game. You can't find it at all in online, and it's not bad, it's a pretty cool vehicle from a visual perspective. It's just not the quickest in the in the class, but it's not that far off. It does very, very well to get up into 3rd place. Ultimately though, the quickest police cruiser is what is dubbed the Interceptor version, with a lap time of 112.7. that's over a 2-second difference to 3rd place, and it's just clearly the best. It's got great traction, great speed. We will be seeing the top speed testing for all of these vehicles, so you can see those top speed values next Thursday as well. But something interesting about this version of the police cruiser is that it can be upgraded, not under normal circumstances, but using mods in single player. You can add various visual modifications like bull bars. You can add performance modifications as well. So it's interesting that this car has those available to it, but under normal gameplay you just can't use them. But in 1st place, we have the only motorcycle in the game that isn't in the motorcycles class, the police bike. At this point, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already for new testing videos every Thursday and update videos when new cars are released, and check out other classes in the playlist. But the police bike gets a lap time of 1 minute 11.368, which isn't too bad. It's not that much quicker than what we saw from the police cruiser in 2nd place, so it's only getting 1st place by a small margin. But the police bike is ultimately, it is a separate vehicle entirely. It's in the emergency vehicles class, but it is basically a Sovereign. So the Sovereign is a vehicle in the motorcycles class that was released after the game was first released. The police bike's obviously been in since the game was initially released, and the Sovereign was basically a civilian version of the police bike. So the police bike, it shares exactly the same stats. So the police bike is essentially an unupgraded version. This is what the lap time of the Sovereign would be if you didn't have the upgrades on it. So the police bike, although it's kind of taking top spot in the emergency vehicles class just for the virtue that it's a motorcycle, and motorcycles, because they can wheelie all over the place and they get quicker because of the wheelie, it's kind of 1st place just through virtue of being a bike. Really, it's not a huge difference to 2nd place. It's only just over a second, which kind of shows how quick the police cruiser, at least the Interceptor version, actually is. And when you consider that this is all without modifications on it, the police cruiser, the Interceptor version, could probably get around a 1 minute 7, 1 minute 6 maybe even lap time once you get all the upgrades on it. I think it even has a spoiler modification as well for that extra traction. So when you put the upgrades on the Interceptor version, it could be on the level of the sort of mid-range sports cars. And it really, it's when you see all the vehicles in this class, it's a bit strange that we still don't have the ability to even buy these. You would think that they would have put in a website in the game that is for unlawful police vehicles, or police vehicles that have been taken unlawfully, and you can buy them on the black market or something like that, and store them in your garage, upgrade them, or at least upgrade the ones that can be upgraded. And again, why don't we have the ability to have emergency vehicle races? Why can't we race with all of these vehicles in normal races, not just transform races? So it's interesting that they've taken all the militaristic vehicles route with everything and put all these new vehicles into the game, but kind of forgotten about all of the old vehicles that we still don't have access to. And it's just a bit of a shame, because I imagine that as you've been going through watching this, you probably didn't know some of these vehicles even existed in the game, and unless you actually look deep into it, some of them can be quite obscure and you don't see them very often, if at all. So yeah, that's just pretty much it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Remember to read the description for more info, comment with your thoughts, like the video if you enjoyed it, found it helpful, subscribe for more, and consider supporting on Patreon or joining on YouTube. Thank you all so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.